Hey, what's going on, guys? I know it's been a long time. I don't even know how long. I want to say maybe 6 weeks, something like that. I'm very, very sorry. Okay, I know I've gotten a lot of messages asking for YouTube videos, and I've been meaning to get to it, but a lot of stuff came up. First of all, it's expensive. Well, it's not too expensive, but it costs me money. I'm trying to be on a really tight budget. I didn't want to pay for an editor over the last few weeks. And then on top of that, I don't have the time between simply studying and playing and then trying to have a life. I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but editing takes a lot of time out of your day. Editing takes a lot of time out of your day. So, haven't made any new YouTube videos recently, but I do want to get back onto it. Gotta start slow, probably around once a week. I'm sorry. Here's a new YouTube video though. This one's pretty interesting. This is my year in review of 2021. A lot of interesting little tidbits. We talk about my profits. We talk about what I made from Twitch and from ACR stuff and from poker, of course. And we made some goals for this year. This was a 2-hour stream that I had at the beginning of the year. I was gonna post it, but I'm just getting over COVID, and I was just on my ass for about 2 weeks there. So I'm posting it now. A couple weeks late, but better late than never. I think you guys will really enjoy this. Maybe you might want to put it on 2x speed because it is a really, really long video. I think it's maybe the longest video I'll ever have on my channel or have ever had on my channel. But it's really, really good. We talk about poker. We talk about streaming. We talk about goal setting. We talk about this challenge, any changes that I need to make. And I think it's going to be really, really educational for you guys and just entertaining in general. I know that even I got a lot out of it by just, setting out a game plan and looking through all of it. So I think this is going to be a good one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And of course, do me a huge favor, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell when the next video is live. It really helps with growing my channel and gaming the algorithm. And then come check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/DramaticDegen. I stream about 5 days a week from 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time onwards. All right, guys. Once again, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's been this long since we've had a YouTube video, but I'm happy to be back. And I'm happy you guys are supporting me still. And I hope you guys enjoy this. All right. Enough out of me. Here's some more of me. Enjoy. So today, chat, I want to wait a little bit before we get into the nitty gritty of it, just to let people kind of slide in. Looks like we got actually pretty good numbers right now, 44 viewers. We are going to review my 2021 in a brief way. I'm not going to get super specific, just for several different reasons that I'll explain later. We're going to go over how much I won or lost in poker. We're going to go over how much I won or lost in my fight bets, because I bet a lot of money over 2021. And we're going to go over how much I made from Twitch and sponsorships. And going to add that all together and talk about my year in general. And then we'll do a brief talk on the update with the challenge, just because I haven't given you guys much of a look over the last 2 weeks as to what's been going on. And then I have set some goals, just some nice fun New Year's resolutions for 2022 that I just want to share with you guys and see what you guys think, if maybe they need to be tweaked, or maybe this will just help inspire you guys to maybe make some goals. I'm by no means an expert on goal making or goal achieving, for that matter. I'm not very good at committing myself, so this is a big challenge for me this year. But I want to make some big moves in my life in many different ways. And there's also some good goals / resolutions that are related to my streaming and poker career, of course, and then to this challenge in itself. So there's a lot to talk about. I think we'll probably be here for a good little while, maybe 1 or 2 hours. What's up, Gordo? It's a big day 2 stack. Yeah, it's huge. Huge. Such a shallow MTT. That's the GG way, right? I mean, majority of MTTs, when you go deep on GG, are, man, I fucking love that song, by the way. I just want to add that to some playlists. Pillow Talk and mellow music. Actually feel good music. What was I saying? Oh yeah, with GG, just the structures are fast. So like when you go deep, you end up with shallow stacks like chip leaders, 45 big blinds, especially in the big field stuff. Like the global millions, you'll notice, especially if you make it to the final 100, like the chip leader is like 60 big blinds deep. It's like, okay, all right, great. He won't be chip leader for much longer then. Found myself very bored in the early stages of MTTs. Any advice for how you stay focused and how do you accumulate chips? Found myself ending up late ridging, but then I just end up having to flip to double up or blind down to a poor big blind count to shove, getting called by any two. There's just, so the issue is like mentality and approach to the game in general, because there's just so much wrong with so much of what you just said there. Let's see where we start with. I guess we'll just start with the boredom. So like poker can be boring. All right. However, if you are taking poker in any kind of serious manner, even if you're just doing it as a hobby, hoping to make maybe a little bit of side income, you know, I think everyone has the ability to try and make, you know, $2,000 to $5,000 a year as a hobbyist poker player. Everybody is capable of that. They just have to put in some time and effort to their development, right? So if you're bored, I would assume overall you're not engaged. Very rare when I play poker, and I mean I play 500,000 hands a year, 500,000 to 1,000,000 hands a year, depending on, you know, how many tables I'm playing. And very, very rarely am I bored when I play poker because I'm engaged. I'm focused. Maybe sometimes I might have a podcast off to the side just to kind of keep my brain stimulated when there are those like slow periods where you're not getting any hands or whatever. But I'm completely engaged in the games that I'm playing. So there seems to be a mindset issue where maybe you're not focused enough, or you don't understand the game from a deep enough level to be able to be focused enough and know what you're doing. So it sounds like you need to get better. As far as like late regging late, it's actually like not the worst approach to late reg late, but you need to know how to play short stack poker. And there's a lot of strategy to playing short stack poker. And you have to also surrender to the fact that with MTTs, you are going to end up flipping a lot. You are going to end up in situations where you're short stacked and you're flipping and people are calling you off light. That's just the nature of the beast. And that's why volume is such an important thing. So you need to just overall, long answer short, you need to study. You need to get better at the game. You need to get yourself a Raise Your Edge apprentice course, !RYE. Get the discount off of the Raise Your Edge apprentice course and start studying. Get better at the game. You know, MTTs are a high variance. You're going to do a lot of flipping. That's the way it is. But that doesn't mean that there aren't tons of different strategies from every stack depth that will help you last longer in tournaments more often. So they want rebuys and fun players percentage to win. It certainly attracts more recreationals with the structures of tournaments that they've got. Yeah, no doubt about it. And it helps the tournaments run faster too, you know, just I don't know if I'd like it because there's not a lot of room to play. And it does increase variance. Like, man, I've talked about this with several of my professional like poker playing friends. So many people have said the same thing unprovoked. They're like, I don't know any regs that actually win money there. I know so many people who say that. They're like, nobody makes money there. We all still play there, but nobody makes money there. It's just because the variance is crazy with their structures. Just play roulette if you want to flip. True. Or play MTTs. MTTs are flip fests too. First and foremost, to be a profitable player that plays regularly, you have to love poker. I realized I didn't love poker years ago, and therefore making a sustainable living wasn't viable. If you're bored in early stages, it's simply because you don't love the game, and that'll be the downfall long term for sure. Not necessarily. It might not even be like a love thing. It could just be like a lack of understanding thing, right? Because there's a lot that can be done in early stages of poker that can help with your longevity in the later stages of poker, right? So like you build your stack early, you build a big stack, like the statistically you're just going to go deeper more often. That's obviously not like a constant, it's just a statistics thing, right? So like if you don't understand how to play deep stack poker, you don't understand how the post flop strategies work, you don't understand that you need to be 3-betting a lot and squeezing a lot and that kind of thing, you're going to be doing a lot of button clicking, which involves you being not engaged. So then you get bored, right? the more you learn about poker, the more engaged you get, the more stimulating it is, and the less often it gets boring. You know, there's gonna be boring moments, like just like anything else. But I like this rapper. Her name's Win from Portland. Make money where? I don't know where to make money, dude. Thanks, DD. No problem. You think knitting it up to like 1711 is plus EV? No, definitely not. Maybe at a final table or something. Some ICM implications. Agree with that. A deeper understanding will keep you engaged and help you run deep. I would just say you need the passion for it just as much as the skill set. Oh, for sure. Yep. I mean, it depends what you want with it, right? Like, do you want to do it for a living? Like, you know, less than 1% of the poker playing population should play poker for a living. And they need to have like this unrelenting passion for it to the point that like when they decide to become a professional poker player, it might even be like a mistake. Or they're not looking for the approval of any of their peers to just go for it. Like, I did ask opinions of several of my friends, but none of them gave me the answers that I wanted, and so I just like took the risk anyway, and I realized that there's no need for me to ask them. Not that their advice wasn't like valuable, but I just realized like in my gut that it was just something I needed to take the chance on. You know? So like you have to have that in you if you want to do it full time. But if like, let's say, you know, you got a full-time job you really enjoy, you just like playing poker on the weekends and, you know, maybe an extra day out of the week, and you want to see like maybe if you can make an extra 3 to 5 grand in a year playing multi-table tournaments, you know, you need to enjoy it for sure. But like you can do it. You just need to keep yourself engaged. You need to be disciplined. You need to be consistent, right? I show up on time just so I can play deep stack. It's my favorite part besides FTs. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of early stage MTTs myself, but I understand its value, so I'm trying to improve upon that as best as I can. What's up, Thirsty Killer? What's going on? Egypt click. I actually never seen that emote. That's a fitting emote for Patrick's stream. All right, so how long have we been live for here? 25 minutes? I think that's long enough. Probably start getting into this what I wanted to turn the stream on for in the first place. I feel like some people fall in love with the idea of being a full-time poker player rather than having the skill or desire to do so. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's kind of where it starts, no? I don't think too many people actually like get into professional poker playing without having the passion first and then pursuing that passion through work. Most people, as you say, should just play recreationally like myself. Yeah. I think it's like being a day trader, hard way to make an easy living. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of sacrifice involved. I was just talking about it with my roommate today, you know? I was like, the thing that a lot of people don't understand who don't play poker for a living is that they have the comfort or the security of the bi-weekly paycheck or the monthly paycheck or whatever it is, you know, the guarantee of having an income. Poker players do not. They do not have the guarantee. Almost every single MTT poker player on the planet will have 1 or more years in their career where they lose money or break even. And he was like, well, then how do you have money to survive? It's like, you have to make sure that you have some money put away or you're fucked. And that involves, in order to do that and handle that in a healthy way, take that on as a career choice, you really have to have a certain mentality and a certain passion for it. And you gotta like, you have to understand that reality, and it becomes, you know, it definitely becomes a hard way to make an easy living, right? It's fucking crazy. It's a crazy game. Okay, so let's go over. Just make sure I have the right notes up. So I was gonna show you guys my spreadsheet, of like how well, I'll give you a quick glimpse into it. There's just some private things involving other people that I don't want to disclose, just out of their respect out of them. So let me just give you like a quick glimpse of how I record this stuff, just so you guys have an idea. So Alex, I don't mind, because I think he, you know, you guys have known that I buy action off Alex and Alex buys action off me, but I keep track on a spreadsheet, just like some really basic stuff day to day. Reason why I don't keep track on PT4 is because it can be unreliable, especially with sites like WPN. And because I sell so much action that, like, you know, if I have a minus $600 week, like, it could be an actual break-even week because of the action stuff. So, like, it doesn't represent, like, my true plus minus. So this is what we got going on here. Leave that off to the side. I'm kind of going into this winging it a little bit with some minor notes. So bear with me, okay? So I keep driving a Zamboni every year. I make a good income on the side, but it's very stressful playing poker in general. I can only imagine for a living. Yeah, and like, even for the guys who do it for a living, they're not going to do it forever, you know? Like, somebody very close to me is probably not going to be a poker player soon, and I kind of expected them to be a poker player forever. But, you know, I don't think I'll do this forever either, but I'll definitely do it for my 30s. Okay. So here is a brief look into how 2021 went. As you can see, not very many highly profitable months, eh? Let's turn the music down just a little bit. Let's also put on chill hop so it doesn't distract us. Okay. So last year, I played almost 8,000 games. If I remember correctly, my average buy-in was about $35. And I had a pretty low ROI. I think I had, I want to say 13%. I can't remember. Across all sites. Each month, this is my net profit. So this is after selling action. On the good side, majority of the months are profitable. On the bad side, they're barely profitable. Barely profitable. How many hands in 2021? 480,000, and I'll get to that as well. Just so that we can kind of have a little bit of a better understanding of EV and variance and skill level and all that kind of stuff, right? And also eating a little bit of humble pie, which I'm gonna have to do today. So we'll go over this pretty quickly. Does the profit include your Stake Kings VIG? I'm about to go over that right now. So, like I said, I have a spreadsheet that actually has like all the actual numbers of all of this. But this profit is the net profit. This is after I sell action. This is after rake back. This is after maybe having action in a friend who won some tournaments, that kind of a thing. Our biggest month was January. I believe what happened was I just won a couple of tournaments where I had more of myself, but still went on a pretty nasty swing. I'm pretty sure we actually like should have finished the month down about 5K. But like I said, you know, I sell a lot of action to help mitigate risks. And then, you know, every now and again, I have a month where like maybe my biggest win of the month is actually the tournament that I have 80% of myself in or whatever. That doesn't always happen, and I'll explain that in a couple of the future months on the list. Actually, let's just go through that right now. So March, I had my biggest win of the year. We won the $55 OSS for about 14,000 bucks, which is pretty fucking sick. And unfortunately, I had 30% of myself in that. I was going through a pretty big downswing, as you guys remember, in 2020. I had the biggest downswing of my life. I think I actually still haven't looked at the numbers yet because I don't think my ego can handle it. But if I'm being real with myself, I'm pretty sure that I lost about 70 or 80 grand in 2020, playing games that were just too high, that I probably was break even at best, maybe a slight winner, like 5% ROI type of winner. And on top of that, I also just like spent way too much money in my personal life. So like it was a really bad year for me, financially, emotionally. I think it was a bad year for a lot of people, of course, because that's when the pandemic started. But yeah, it was bad for me for sure. And that swing wasn't over going into the new year, right? So like I was not able to afford to keep very big pieces of myself, and I was kind of in survival mode, especially at the beginning of the year. Um, I just needed to keep myself alive until I can figure out what the next step was, i.e., getting sponsors or perhaps getting a backer or what have you. So I won that $55 OSS, and we should have been the gross. If I hadn't have sold any action, I would have been plus 6.5K. We would have actually had a really nice month, and that probably would have put me in a decent spot to keep bigger pieces of myself and maybe like build that momentum going on into like the next quarter of the year. But it didn't. It just kept me in that survival mode, and instead I only made $1,000. Pretty shitty. But you know what, it is what it is. Like, these are the necessary prices we have to pay sometimes, because what ended up happening in April was I made 1.4K when I should have been down 8 Gs. So what happened there was I won satellites into if I remember correctly, I won a lot of satellites that month into a lot of high stakes games. And what I would do is sell, anywhere between 50 and 80% of myself, depending on how high it was. And that prevented me from actually suffering that 8K loss and making I don't want to say a reasonable profit, because 1.4K is not enough to live off of in this economy, as the meme goes. But we stayed alive. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, this was my second biggest losing month overall. Moments we think are the best and are good at the game and stop studying or get lazy, we think we always win. That's just our ego fucking with us. Once I realized this, I started to have more bankroll control and also studying way harder and more consistent. Yeah, that's kind of been my 2021 for sure. Avs fan, what's the 2021 total? We're getting to that. We're getting to that. We're just going over the year right now. May, I was actually kind of surprised to see that I had made 2.2K. I didn't look at my monthly totals this year. I just tracked everything and then told myself I'd look later. So I'm actually surprised I made money this month because that was a really brutal month for me. Both of my grandmothers died within a week of each other. So I didn't really actually play any poker. Maybe my friend won a tournament to keep me going. I'm not sure. Or maybe I just had like one good week, because I'm pretty sure I maybe grinded like 5 days out of that month. So I must have had a couple of really good days, I guess. How does April and March work? Why different numbers? I just explained it, bro. Stop typing. Start listening. So in March, I'll repeat it again. In March, I made 1K. I should have made 6.5K in March because I won a $55 150K for like 14 Gs, 15 Gs. But I only had 30% of myself of that win. So instead of being up a good amount, I ended up being only up about a G, 1K. In April, I should have been minus $8,000, but I wanted some satellites into some high stakes games, and I sold action to those target tournaments so that I could break even or make a profit. That's what happened in April. You took the GG Masters almost twice. That's right, Caponetta. Okay, that's why I had a profit in May. That's right. I finished second and first in the GG Masters, I think in the same month, or at least within like 6 weeks of each other. 6 winning months in the start of the year, nice. Shows you're definitely beating the games nicely. I don't know about nicely, but I'm winning for sure. minus 8K. That's insane. April is Scoop, so it's not that insane. April is Scoop. That's where, you know, your variance either goes really, really high in this direction or really, really low in this direction. Because, you know, I was playing an average buy-in of $35 or whatever, but then Scoop comes along. There's like some 109s and some 215s you don't want to miss. You win some satellites into some 530s. You got to play some satellites into the main event, all that kind of stuff. What's up, Jacob? It's but like a 9.4K swing. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I lost 7K on Scoop. Yep, that'll do it. You know, June and July, fairly uneventful. You know, same thing. And then August, this was WCOOP. So, you know, this is after selling action. So that's how nasty of a swing it was. My roll was in like a reasonable spot for me to feel like I could take some shots, but I think the shots I took were a little too large. And when I say shots, I mean I did not sell big enough pieces of myself to the higher games that were a little beyond my bankroll management. So I know that like I was keeping half of myself for 109s, and like 30% of myself for 215s and so on. When in reality, I probably should have kept significantly less than that, just because the variance is so crazy. I guess I should also mention too. This just popped in my mind. I forgot about this. Around this time, probably June, July, somewhere around there. Krista Borg and myself were talking a lot about bankroll management and its relation to our skill level and our average buy-in. And he had come up with the plan, and I started to copycat him of playing with like really, really aggressive bankroll management. You know, before 2021, I was playing with like, you know, 1,000 buy-ins, 500 buy-ins, somewhere around there, depending on the game. And then around summertime this year, I decided to switch that up and be more aggro and play with like 200 buy-ins, which is like insanely high variance. But I figured I was crushing the games enough that I could probably take that on the chin, on top of the fact that I was doing well with the ACR Stormers program, making an income there. So like if things went really, really bad, I can still rely on getting some money from them, you know? It's almost like rake back, you know? What does the numbers mean? Maybe go back in the VOD. I've explained it twice what this means. So you might have to go back in the VOD. I'll post this on YouTube tomorrow. So if you guys want to like read it, listen over it again, that kind of thing. Didn't play Scoop. Probably smart. So yeah, August was really, really bad. Just like went way too hard with that new bankroll management situation that I had been trying with, you know, off of Krista Borg's model. And just really went down the shitter. And that was a huge hit. That was a point in my career. I've had a couple moments in my career over the last 5 years where I've been like, okay, I might have to get a job here. And August was definitely one of those months where I was like, okay, I might have to get a job. This is not good. Luckily, I kind of came up with this game plan for how I was going to approach the game and how I was going to approach streaming, that the ACR Stormers situation was really, really doing well for me. I was capping out the maximum payouts from the ACR Stormers program. So for those of you guys who don't know, and this is all public information, so that's why I'm willing to share it. Like, this is not a contracted kind of sponsorship thing. If streamers accumulate up to 10,000 hours of watch time on their channel, ACR pays out the streamer $3,000. So if you guys don't know what an hour of watch time is, that's basically for an hour watched by each viewer. So let's say we have 100 let's say we have 100 viewers right now and they all watch for an hour. That's 100 hours of watch time. The ACR Stormers program is tiered out to where I think like the least you can make is like $50, and then it's a tier system. And the highest tier is $3,000, and that's if you hit the 10,000 hour minimum at the end of each month. The tier below that is $1,500. But if you want to get to the toppest tier, you have to hit 10,000 hours. And I wasn't hitting that up until September. So September, I started to switch my content around, started to change my attitude, started to be a little bit more consistent with my scheduling, and switched my game up to be a little bit more interesting. And it started to bear fruit with my viewership numbers, and things started to improve from there. So How hard is it to hit 10,000 hours? It's not easy. It's not easy. Like, you know, my view count's not high, but I'm like in the top 1% of Twitch streamers. To put that into perspective, like I'm beyond top 1%. I think I'm like top 0.7% of Twitch streamers or something to hit 10,000 hours a month. So that's how hard it is. I don't want to sound mean, but why did you think you were crushing the buy-ins with 6 mediocre months before WCoop? Well, because variance is a thing, and I could see through my win rate on Poker Tracker that like I was beating the games that I was playing. I was just not experiencing like all that good, like run good, basically. And 6 months in the greater scheme of things doesn't mean a lot. Not to mention the fact that like sometimes there's something to be said about the way that your peers think about you as a poker player. And I was making sure that I was having honest conversations with my best friend Alex, who's an insanely good poker player, with Henry Bueller, with you know, Harris Stavoya, with Alan Pav, with Patrick Tardif, Egyptian. Like these are all very close friends of mine, and none of them were like, "Oh yeah, no, you can't beat a $40 average buy-in." They were all like, "Yeah, you're definitely capable of beating a $40 average buy-in. I don't know why you're not winning right now." And that's not to like gas me up, right? Having honest conversations is really, really important. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, no problem. Aberon, what's up, mate? I should get some ACR Stormer money. Yeah, dude, it's available. I don't know how many Stormers are taking on, but it's, you know, never hurts to ask. You can only show ACR though if you're an ACR Stormer, right? Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Once you hit, if you hit certain milestones, they'll let you stream other games. And then like if you do stream other games, those days don't count towards your overall statistics. He never said that? No, I mean like honestly, I think I'm definitely a winner in other games, 100%. In $40 average buy-in. Okay, so this was WCoop. Easily my worst month of the year by far. Probably my most stressful month of the year as well. Was not good. October, things really started to pick up, just mentally and stream-wise, but it pretty much stayed the same as far as poker goes. November. What happened in November, guys? Nothing really crazy happened in November. Well, no, hold on. Jesus, I shouldn't even say that. Transparency is pure gold. Yeah, no problem, no problem. I'm actually kind of nervous talking to you guys about this, but I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. So November is when we start the Road to WSOP 2022 challenge. So in October, I was watching a lot of content about growing your Twitch channel and your YouTube channel, and you know, I was watching this guy named Devin Nash, who is the head of a talent agency for basically Twitch streamers. And he's very data driven in his arguments on how to grow a channel and knows a lot about the industry. He's been in the industry for a really long time, so I really appreciate his insight. Definitely check him out if that's something you guys are interested in. He's really, really good. And in one of his videos, he said, you need to have honest conversation with your peers. You need to have conversations with people who you trust will give you a down-to-earth, like, no sugarcoating, no bullshit kind of a conversation about what's going wrong. And you need to talk to them, and that will make a huge difference. And that's what I did. I talked to like 4 or 5 of my closest friends. Crystal Borg, Jason, who some of you guys know. He's one of my old editors and one of my old roommates. And I also talked to Pav, Patrick, and Henry. And I literally said to them, I'm being really vulnerable here, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to ask, but I want you guys to tell me what it is that I'm missing. Why do you think I'm not as successful as you guys? And like, don't sugarcoat it. You can be really, really harsh if you want to. And they all gave me, every single one of them gave me really, really good answers. My best friend Alex, I didn't ask him, but we had some pretty honest conversations about my own character like 3 or 4 weeks before. He was like, he really gave me a harsh conversation and said some, at the time I was like insulted by some of the stuff he said about me, but I realized that in hindsight that they were like spot on and I was definitely fucking up. So I was just like really going through this kind of transformative 6 weeks where I realized I needed to make some major changes in almost every aspect of my life if I wanted to actually be a successful person. And like I said, all my friends gave me really, really good advice about, especially my stream, also about poker. And one of the biggest takeaways I got that they kind of all said, but in their own unique ways, was that there's really nothing, there hasn't been anything that's attracted people to my stream to stick around. Like nothing all that unique from the rest of the community. And they're absolutely right. And this is something that I kind of already knew, but it's always kind of good to almost get a second opinion, right? And so I started thinking about what I wanted to do, and we were like, bankroll challenge. I don't know. I don't personally find it interesting to watch bankroll challenges. I know that that is a niche that people enjoy, but it wasn't my thing. So I was like, if I don't enjoy watching it, I won't enjoy doing it. And then at the time as well, I was like really embarrassed, or not embarrassed, sorry, really jealous of all my friends that were in Vegas, grinding the World Series of Poker, having a ton of fun with each other, and like playing all these fun, soft, high stakes games with huge payouts. And I thought, what if I do a challenge where I try and grind my bankroll back into a healthy spot where I can go to Vegas next year? And I took that risk. I was like, let's do it. Let's see how people think about it. And people have loved it. You guys have really responded to it incredibly positively. It's probably the best thing I've ever done for my stream. And that has really, really helped with my numbers. Let me pull up something. Actually, I'll pull up. This is a bit of a long-winded conversation about our profits, but maybe I should just go through these stats first before we start talking about the stream. Probably, chat? I think maybe I'll just try not to overwhelm you guys with too much information. We'll go point for point for point. I might be going a little bit all over the place. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just finish with this poker talk. Okay. Sorry about that, chat. Y'all still following? Y'all still following? Discuss other factors like size of bankroll, managing poker money versus life money for you, etc. The interesting thing about creating content is that like you do have to sacrifice a certain level of your privacy in order for people to enjoy it. But I'm trying to be really conscious of how much privacy I do actually give up, especially when it comes to certain aspects of my private life that could be like really easily weaponized. So I don't talk about my bankroll. I don't talk about certain aspects of my income if there are other parties involved who also wish that I don't talk about it. Same with like certain aspects of relationships that I have with people. So no, but there will be some aspects of it that I will talk about. All this stuff is really valuable. Take your time. Thanks, man. I appreciate how non-egotistical and genuine you are, DD. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate that. What I will say though is that's just not true. I have a massive ego, and I'm trying my best to keep it in check all the fucking time. So I'll take your compliment and I appreciate it, but I have to put that caveat out there because when I think about my life, especially over the last 10 years, my ego has gotten in the way of a lot of opportunities. So, and my lack of self-esteem too. That hasn't helped either. It's a bad combination. Keep doing it. Good job and great way to get your motivation back for sure. For sure. Thank you, man. What's your 2021 result here? Too lazy to do the math. Yeah, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. Sorry, this has been very, very long-winded. Wasn't expecting it to be this long-winded, but sometimes I like the sound of my own voice. So I could tell how much work you've done on keeping in check. You know what? OMFG Luckbox would be one of the people to know, because I think about like when him and we hung out in, I guess it must have been 2017 in Las Vegas at the World Series of Poker. And that was a point in my life where my ego was without a doubt unhinged. It was worse a couple years prior to that before we knew each other, but yeah. And there's been some development since then, thank God. But I do have a massive ego, that's for sure. Honestly, my ego, all it is an overcompensation of my lack of self-confidence. So I try and be self-aware as best as I can. Maybe you do, but it doesn't come across on stream, so I guess you're doing a good job of hiding it. Yeah, I'm a total con. Kappa. But the actuals from March and April. Yeah. Okay. So, oh yeah, in December, really quick, it's Christmas. So I was just really, really distracted. We did win one tournament, which was fucking awesome. I'm going to post that hopefully this week on YouTube. It was just a great win, and it helped me from going in the negative on the month, but then we kind of lost everywhere else. I was a little bit distracted between looking after my roommate's dog because he was on vacation. The dog took a lot more attention than I expected. And then of course just the holidays, wanting to spend time with my family, doing the Christmas shopping, that kind of thing. And then an ex-girlfriend started messaging me, and it distracted me, and it's not like that big of a deal, but it just took me for a loop, and I had to deal with all these emotions that I honestly didn't expect to actually experience, and it just really, really distracted me. So just all this kind of stuff got in my way of perhaps playing my best poker, and we ended up having a break-even month. But hey, better than a losing month, right? So here are my totals for the year. Okay. Let's hold on. Where did I put it? Okay. Here are my totals for 2021. We made in total net profit $2,400. That's the gist of it for the whole year. Ooh, oh, God, it gives me shivers just saying it out loud. So we'll give it a quick breakdown. I spent about 300K in buy-ins and about 290K in total buy-ins and 250K in cashes. So without selling action, I should be minus what is that, 35K on the month, or sorry, on the year. There's some interesting caveats for that. You'll see this part here. I'm actually gonna just enter so that you guys get a little bit less of that, and we'll talk about it in a minute. On Stake Kings, I sold about 100K worth of action, and the returns were about 87K. So I got to keep about, what is that? I can't do math right now. 18K? Am I doing the math right? 17K. And then private sold. So I'm not going to say who bought action, but there were, because, they could be members of the community that don't, want people to know. But, I always made sure that I found people to buy action from as well. So that, when people weren't interested in buying on Stake Kings, I still had some way to help curb some of my variance. So I got to keep I can't do math again, 12K privately. And I bought some action off of people. Luckily enough, I bought in the right people. I was able to make just a tiny bit off of them. $6,000 in rate back on the month, which seems fucking criminal. I feel like it should be way more than that, but it is what it is. Total came out to about $2,400. I'm gonna leave a margin of error because I am an unorganized person, and I definitely whiffed some numbers in certain areas. I tried to correct them this morning as much as I could, but yeah. So chances are we are at best plus 3,000 on the year, and at worst plus 1,500 on the year. So we might as well just call it break even on 2021 with poker. I think it's probably important to know that not that I am in the same conversation as any of these people, but like the best poker players in the world have losing years. The best poker players in the world lose six figures in a year. It happens. Um, I know a lot of poker players who have come out of 2021 not making any money whatsoever. So it's a big yikes. It fucking sucks. But this is also like, this is part of the game. This is part of the process of being a professional poker player, is dealing with some brutal swings. And using that negative, using that adversity to be honest with yourself and progress, you know? You always hear people saying like, I learn more from my losses than I do my wins, right? And that's no different for poker players. Wishing you a giant 2022. Thank you very much, man. How do you recall approximate total for 2020? For 2020, I finished, I'm gonna guess, I haven't actually looked because it was just such a brutal year for me. I don't really want to revisit it, but I'm gonna guess that I lost somewhere between $50,000 and $75,000 in 2020. I'm gonna guess. The $100,000 that I made was 2019. And that was a big reason why I went on such a swing last year, is because I was playing games I thought I could beat, and I realize now that I probably couldn't. Because in 2019 I had the best year of my career. I made like $250,000. I couldn't lose in 20. I just kept winning all these high stakes games over and over and over again. I really didn't think I could lose. Sorry, I really couldn't lose in 2019. It was an insane year. So I kept that energy last year, and it bit me in the ass. And I made sure to throw that energy in the trash in 2021, and it still didn't do me any good. I still ended up losing. But how much did you earn from Twitch in 2021? Yep, we're gonna go over that pretty soon. Okay, so what's the next thing I want to go over? I wrote a couple of notes down that I had noticed while looking through everything on Sharkscope. So 50% of my volume was from big fields. For me, I made a big field over 700 entries, which was the biggest portion of my losses. So there's definitely some variance there. Okay, variance is going to happen. You're going to go through some nasty swings, especially if your win rate isn't high enough to handle those swings, right? The only side I profited on last year was ACR, and that accounted for only a third of my games. I think moving forward, I'm probably going to, especially on weekdays, play significantly more ACR, including on demands. I just think I have a really good feel for how, like, overall that population tends to play. It's very tight, it's very snug, and you can really take a lot of advantage of that. On stars, it's just getting tougher because you're having more and more regs playing lower buy-ins because there's less higher buy-ins available, and it becomes a lot more of a reg battle. I'm being very, very general when I say all of this, of course, but it's true, especially as you get deeper. And then on natural 8, it's just a lot swingier of a game with their structures specifically. Perhaps there's a bit of a play style that I'm not too accustomed to figuring out. Like, I'm trying to be a lot more aggressive these days, and it works really well on ACR because no one wants to call off when you have a 15% 3-bet. They just want to overfold until they have the nuts. Whereas on GG, on natural 8, on GG, like no one's folding. They're just never gonna fold. So I'm not adjusting in the necessary way. I'm probably just going to lower my volume on natural 8 specifically, but I'll definitely lower my volume on Pokerstars as well and start substituting that with a lot more ACR volume. I think I'm gonna actually be able to perform a lot better there. It could just be a variance thing too. Like I'm just like sun running on ACR and I'm just like running cold on stars, and all of a sudden this year I'll just like sun run on stars and never make money on ACR. But just like from a feel perspective, I can't like hardcore prove this. Just from a feel perspective, I feel like I have a lot better grasp on ACR. So you guys would definitely be seeing me play a lot more ACR this year. If Twitch doesn't work, you could have a promising career in data analytics. I know nothing about data. This is all like very, very, very rough notes. I actually kind of embarrassed to share this with you because we should go deeper than this. If I was smarter, I'd be able to. Any breakdowns on PKO versus non-PKO? I have not looked at that, no. But I would assume I'm probably losing on PKOs. Do you know about the ACR SNG leaderboard? I do. I mean, I don't know what it entails, but it is something that I've thought about looking into. In 2020, I was up 4K, and 2021, I'm up 2K. I play small stakes. Nice, good for you. I imagine that isn't easy to do. No, I think that feature's available on Sharkscope. Pretty sure. Okay, what was the next point I wanted to make? Oh yeah, just real quick. Like, so I played 2.4K games with a $37 ABI on ACR and a 36% ROI for a total of $16,000 profit, which is pretty nice. I would have actually had a decent profit probably if I had just continued adding more volume on ACR. Here's an interesting like fact, whatever, that I wanted to share with you guys. So out of the 2.4K, 2.3K were below $90, which would have been, you know, if when I filter it out to the below $90 buy-ins, I would have had a $27 average buy-in, relatively similar ROI, but $9,000 more profit. So what that means is the higher stakes games that I was playing or taking shots at or what have you, have really dug into my ability to make profits. And to some degree, it's just variance. I mean, like 100 games means nothing. Maybe I am a winner at 109s, but you can't gauge that off of 100 games. Sorry, I shouldn't say 109s. I should say 109s plus, because I played some 215s and some 630s, and I think I played 3 2Ks this year on ACR. I don't know if I played any 1Ks on ACR. I don't think I did. So like it's a pretty huge profit margin, right? There's a little bit here where I am just padding my ego a tiny bit and trying to prove to you guys that like variance is a thing. But I'm also taking responsibility too, right? It's important to have a balance. Don't lean too heavily on one side over the other, right? You know, you got to be honest with yourself, but don't be so hard on yourself that you give up, right? Let's pause here, catch up on the chat. On ACR, what's the best daily MTTs you would say? The 55 daily special, the $33 30K, the $22 10K. I think what else? All those like extreme, the $16 dailies, like the $16 Extreme Tuesday, High Stakes Wednesday, Fat Thursday. Those are all fantastic. Any of the like $16 6Ks, the $55 15Ks, the you know, like those smaller field ones that don't have like major names to them. Those are all good too. $11 Boski special. I didn't really play it last year too much, but the $88 long car is good too. Good way to get 100% rake back for ODs. No shit, huh? You could break even in poker and get the 3K a month as a stormer, plus rake back, plus Twitch profits, and you'd be living the high life. Yeah, for sure. We're gonna get into that in a minute. So you're saying ACR is a good site to grind? Personally, for me, yeah, I would say so for sure. Yeah. There's a big reason why I went on Stormers too. I was like, well, I'm doing well there. I like most of their tournaments. Like, why not rep them? Fuck it. Was it this year or last that you had that crazy 215 score? That was in December of 2019. Thanks for sharing. No problem. Respect the transparency. Thanks, man. Who would give up? Yeah, not me. Okay, here's another kind of interesting little tidbit here. So I played, what did I say I played? Yeah, almost 7.8K games, right? Okay. 7.1K of them were below 90 bucks. If I had just played below $90 and I didn't play a single game above $90, I would have finished the year minus 4K, and that's without selling action. So that's like the gross profit basically. In other words, if I just kept it below 90 bucks and sold action, I probably, after selling action, would have come out, $10,000 to $15,000 in profit, most likely. I think it also is important to note too that, so I played, what is that, 600 or 700 games above $90 this year, and that accounts for about 29 grand or 30 grand of my losses for the year. Right? So for being minus 35K, 30 grand of those losses were up to 600 games that I just couldn't win. Is pretty fucking crazy. Once again, variance, right? I could have won any one of those 600 high stakes games, and we would be having a very different conversation right now. We would be talking about how I had a profitable 2021. Because like all of those games above $90, they weren't like 109 10Ks or 109 5Ks or like the 215 10K that happens in the afternoon or whatever. They were all like big field, high prize pool games that you don't really want to miss out on. The 109 Sunday Million, the 109 Sunday Warm Up, 215 Scoops, 530 Bounty Builders that I won satellites into, that kind of thing. So, you have like one win out of any of those 500 games, and we're going, oh yeah, like, guys, we made 50 grand last year or whatever. That's pretty crazy. Something to note. That being said, I think it's very important to also acknowledge that I lost $4,000 on a mid-stakes average buy-in over a large sample. Like 7K games is a lot of games, right? That's not good. I had a brief conversation with Krista Borg about this morning. We didn't really go deep into it, so it's something that I'm going to continue to talk about with my peers later on. But variance is a thing, right? Variance happens. You go through swings, even if you're beating the games that you're playing. But to be minus 4K games on a soft average buy-in over a large sample, I think is a big enough signifier that there's something that I'm doing wrong. My first reaction, or my first thought to that fact, to that opinion, is that I'm probably burning a lot of money on fire when I reach final tables, because that's the part of the game that I have the least amount of knowledge in, next to heads up play. And Lord knows I have a really, really good grasp on particularly mid-stage poker and below 30 big blind poker. I feel like I have a really good grasp on, especially. And I know that like I'm really bullying a lot of people in the stakes that I'm playing. So I must be fucking up when it comes to ICM play. I'm not making the necessary adjustments, because the adjustments are quite drastic. Very rare. I shouldn't say rare. It's unusual that you're playing a chip EV type of strategy when you reach like final 30, and then of course even more so final 16, and then even another level on top of that when you reach a final table. So this is concerning. This is concerning. It's good that effectively we're break even here. Like minus 4K is fucking nothing on a below $90 average buy-in, but in my opinion, if you're really good at the game and you're playing that kind of an average buy-in, you should probably not be really ever having an unprofitable year. That might be a naive thing to say, and I'm going to ask a few other people their opinions on that opinion I just stated. But yeah. Bro, you've inspired me to make a plan and become a better poker player, and for that I thank you. Nice, man. Good luck. On your high buy-ins on ACR, like the Venom that you satted in, did you count your buy-in as a tournament entry or the satty fee? That's a good question. I'm not sure how Sharkscope tracks that type of thing. I'm just taking these stats from Sharkscope, so it might be like a neutral thing. I'm not really sure. Big fields, more variance. Yep, for sure. Big fields, way more variance. I thought I paid a lot, but I was only at 4,200 games. But I do play often live. That's the thing, right? Like you play a lot of live. I play no live whatsoever. And I must admit too, I think 7K games is like probably not necessary. I should probably consider, instead of like 10 and 12 tabling, going back to playing 6 to 8 tables. I think like honestly 5,000 games in a year is probably enough, right? So and that's something that we're going to talk about in my goal setting that we're going to go into later. Have you broken it down to time of day or the week as well? No. I would imagine a big portion of these losses are also from Sundays. But I thought this was enough to kind of gauge an idea of like, you know, any flaws in my game selection. And I was like, am I picking the wrong games? Am I playing like too high fields? And like, yeah, I probably should play less big fields and be a little bit more game selective in that way. But I think a lot of this, there's a big portion of those losses at least where it's just coming down to variance, where I'm getting into, you know, I'm playing a 109 and just did not cash enough of them. But like 600 games is nothing. Anybody can be unprofitable over 600 games. Best players in the world are unprofitable over 600 games. It happens. Satty's net out. It comes out to the price of the Satty. Okay. Do you think it's a smart idea to play both cash and tourneys? I love both games and can't decide which to focus on. If you're like starting out, you probably want to pick one over the other because they're both very different games, but you definitely benefit from understanding both. I haven't put really any time to cash because I just don't find it fun. But everyone who does both are better poker players because of it. So I'm down, but what was the bottom line? It's just stuff that we're sharing. Sharkscope doesn't take into account for satties. So you satty in for $1, they consider you bought in for the full buy-in. Oh, really? Oh, fuck. Okay, well then, that explains it. I know I found myself leaking during a certain time of day. Yeah, this is a big reason why I do evening grinds too. It's because I realized that on Sunday mornings, a lot of the, like on Sunday morning games, I don't seem to cash as often as late Sunday morning or early Sunday afternoon games. That's just something that I've noticed kind of anecdotally. And you know, I started doing evening grinds. I think when did we start, chat? Like kind of in the summer mostly. And the evening grinds have been really, really good to me. What's the main goal for you in 2022? So this is all very long-winded, everything I'm talking about. We're definitely going to get to that. Sorry about that, guys. It's very, very long-winded. Like there's a lot I want to talk about. And I'm slightly organizing this so that it doesn't become too overwhelming. That's why I decided to go back to focusing on poker before we get to the stream stuff, because there's some stream stuff I want to talk about as well. What % of variance versus skill would you say account for your 2021 results? Good question. I don't know. Well, I can gauge it a little bit. And I'll show you guys in a minute what I'm talking about. 12 tables is a lot. It's pretty standard, honestly. It's pretty standard. But I'm probably leaking with that many tables while I'm streaming, so. Get so damn excited and don't do full prep for Sunday mornings, and I find myself leaking early. That's a good idea. Yeah, I think I'm probably moving forward going to... Usually I start at 7 a.m. on Sundays. I think moving forward, I'm probably going to let myself start at like 9 or 10. Hope you're recording this for a YouTube video. Tons of great input. Yes, I am. Yeah. I'm always astonished how fucking nosy people are with this type of stuff. 150 viewers. Now, where's the normal stream at? It's peak like 80-ish. That's not true, actually. Our average view count is around 100 viewers. So this is slightly above average, but not too significant. Did you say 20 tables, good sir? No, I don't 20 table. Other people 20 table. I don't 20 table. You can't 20 table when you stream. It's just like fucking impossible. I think maybe B Paris did it, but he's a psycho. This inspires me to want to check my year out. Actually, I better not. You know, in 2020, I did not check my Sharkscope. I didn't check anything because my mind was not in a good place. I hated myself. I was depressed and lonely, and I was seeing my money disappear through my bank account and through my bankroll because I wasn't winning anything. So that's why I never gave you guys a year-end review. I don't even know how much I was down in 2020. I just have a guesstimate even now, and I don't think I'll ever go back to take a look. But this year I really worked on, I didn't work enough, but I worked, and I did work some on just like my self-confidence and my mentality and my overall health. And so it makes it a little bit more easy for me to kind of come in here with some level of confidence and share with you guys what's going on. So kind of depends on where you're standing. Don't disillusion yourself by thinking you're better than you are to the point that you don't look at your stats. But if you can give yourself like a nice piece of humble pie, then go for it. Just interesting to get into the guts of poker career like this. True. What I miss? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Brendan, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Does anybody 20 table with MTTs? Sounds almost impossible. Oh yeah, plenty of people. Tons. To be fair, I'm quite nosy. We're all nosy. I'm a big drama frog. I love checking out drama with people that have nothing to do with my own life. So that's where I get nosy. No delay? Yeah, that helps. I started my stream at a good time too. This is usually when my stream peaks in viewer count when I'm streaming poker. And I figured this would probably be the same if I did this type of stream as well. Okay. Next up, what did I want to go through? So what's this next note? Did we talk about this? 500 games above $90 accounted for 31K of my losses. Lol. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you guys already heard that point, right? So pretty crazy. Something to bear in mind. Something to bear in mind. Once again, with that being said, I did lose 4 Gs on a below $90 average buy-in. That's not pretty good. That's like embarrassing. I need to like get my shit together. That's fairly unacceptable in my opinion. I think I should be able to ride variance enough that I shouldn't really have this kind of a year below $90 average buy-in. It's one thing to do that above $90. It's totally different below. So there's the kind of the long story short of that. A few extra things that I didn't talk about. This is kind of cool. I made 3 Gs betting on fights last year. I was actually thinking I was going to be down, but we really held it together. Shout out to Kintonen for that, and my best buddy Alex, who have lots of really good opinions on the fight game. And then I have my own as well that I generate as well. I'm like very passionate about MMA, specifically UFC, and I put a lot of work into understanding the fighters and the matchups and how they relate to the odds. So yeah, that was really nice to see that we made, you know, once again, margin for error. There's some fights I didn't track properly. So I would say at most we're plus 4K and at worst we're like plus 3K. So we made a profit there. I made more money betting on fights than I did playing poker last year. How funny is that? It's ridiculous. With ACR, roughly made about 15 Gs. So thank you everybody for your support. I honestly don't make this money from ACR without you guys coming in and watching my stream. So there's a lot of you guys, especially earlier into the ACR Stormer situation, where you guys were like, hey man, I can't really hang out and chill, but I'm going to keep your window on just so that you can get the view hours for your channel and to help with the ACR Stormers payments. So you guys continuing to do that helps a lot. Really appreciate that. The more months we can have capping out the $3,000 payments, the better. And of course, that helps grow my community because more people are going to come check out my channel, seeing that I have a little bit more views than the other streamers. and that just makes me look better and better and better. I want to get a sponsorship this year, so the more, the stronger and more consistent my average view count is, the better chances we're gonna have of that, and then we're gonna make even more than 15K on the year. This was starting in, I think we started in July, maybe June with Stormers. It wasn't the whole year, so yeah. Nailed the Pena beating Nunes pick. I see. I bet on I'll one up you on that. I bet on Pena by submission, motherfuckers. And honestly, a big part of this 3.5K was betting on Dustin, the Dustin Poirier money line on their first rematch. He was like a 3-1 underdog. I was like, this is insane. I put a good chunk of change on him, more than I probably should have. And yeah, that paid me out quite nicely. And then Twitch was our smallest amount of income, 2.5K. I don't make a lot from Twitch, and I never have, and I never really expect to. But for those of you guys who do support, I am grateful. Like 2.5K is still 2.5K. It's really, really nice. It's more, once again, that's more than 99% of Twitch streamers make from streaming on Twitch. How crazy is that? Not the other 99%, or like 99.4% of Twitch streamers make less than me on Twitch. Isn't that insane? I feel like that was a lock, though. Well, the rest of the world disagrees with you because he was a 3-1 underdog. If he was a lock, then the odds makers would have made him a favorite. 2.5K sounds like a Venom ticket to me. Yeah, no, not how it works. Kind of sad you only made 2.5K on Twitch. Man, it's hard to make a living streaming. Yeah, I mean, no Twitch poker streamer outside of maybe the party poker guys and maybe Kmart makes a livable income off of only streaming. Everybody else is just making like a side income. And even then, like their incomes that they're probably making aren't like huge, Maybe Lex is huge, but the rest of them, it's like, it's just nice money, I would assume, yeah. And there's a culture around Twitch poker where I think there's a general energy that viewers don't want to subscribe to content creators who already have money that they're gambling with. So there's kind of a vibe that they don't need it as much. And then on top of the fact, they're also gamblers and they would rather use their money for gambling. I don't think there's no positive or negative out of that. That's not like me complaining. I think that's just like the reality of it. I think I would not be surprised if Twitch poker was probably the community that had the least financial support out of all of the other mainstream communities on Twitch. Because like I know for a fact, I'm like friends with some video game streamers with similar following than mine, and they get 3 to 5 times as many subs as I do. And I think there's just an energy with video game streamers where like they're not making money elsewhere, so they need the money more, and so people want to support them more, if that makes sense. So there's that. Where poker streamers are making an income off of streaming is working towards sponsorships or advertising their businesses. So, like Ben CB and Doug Polk and those guys, when they stream, they're doing it to advertise their businesses, right? Parlaying that Twitch money into one ticket sounds pretty on brand for DGen. Yeah, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Happy New Year, DD. Hope you have a great year. Thank you, Chase Heller. You too. No poker streamers get donos. Yeah, poker streamers get no donos. I probably get less than 10 donations a year. Definitely more money in hot tubs. Well, there's just more money in video game streaming with similar view counts. All the video game guys make great money streaming. Yeah, exactly. Most of them live off their sponsors. Poker streamers live off their sponsors for like when it comes to content income. It's off of sponsors. I definitely sub to the smaller streamers more often. True. Yeah, there's that too. Twitch poker doesn't get much tits hanging out. Well, that's not really a thing. You guys know that, right? We're a bunch of degens and punch our money. Yeah, I said that too, right? Like a lot of Twitch poker viewers would rather use their money for playing poker, right? Which makes sense, right? So they don't exactly have like the disposable income that a video game viewer will have because they're not gambling a bunch. Okay, so there's a good little breakdown of some side money that I made outside of poker. That honestly, this is probably what kind of kept me going. Otherwise, I probably would have had to look for a day job, honestly. So I don't want that though, right? I obviously do not want that. I want majority of my income to come from poker, and I want these to supplement my income so that I can and that I can use this money for other things, for investing into whatever, you know, things I'm passionate about, or cryptocurrency or whatever, and have some passive income on the side to keep me going for when I do suffer the swings. So like last year was far from ideal for me in that, you know, I didn't have that kind of passive income available to me to help with my growth. I've hardcore stagnated because I wasn't making money from playing poker, right? That's why I'm sharing all of this, so that we can kind of have a bigger picture of what I need to do for 2022, you know? So yeah, something to bear in mind. Something that I also wanted to bring up, just to kind of argue on the side of variance. So this is kind of like a rough overview of my year. So I played about just a little shy of 500,000 hands, 480k hands. Let's take a quick pause while I catch up on chat here. Is ACR profit from tourneys or sponsorship? From sponsorship. All this stream will be available tomorrow at 6:30 in the morning here, and I don't want to miss. Yeah, I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel at some point tomorrow. I'll probably won't edit it either. I'll just throw it on there. And the VOD will still be up. Yeah, exactly, Jacob, for sure. Really depends on where you're living. I'm from Portugal, turned pro last year, and I don't need to win that much to have a good life here, so yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I live on the west coast of Canada, and it's getting more and more expensive as each year goes on to live here. As a matter of fact, I think I don't know. I'm contemplating moving out of the country this year. I don't know. I have to think more about that. Okay. So just a really quick look at this. We're not going to go in depth into this. This is kind of like one of these situations where I use this with people who are coaching me, for them to have a look at my stats and kind of like look at my leaks. But just something that I wanted to point out, that over the 480,000 hands, which is a really, really good sample, my EVBB 100 was 5.1, which is good. I'm beating the games that I'm playing, and I'm beating them reasonably well. Okay, I'm beating them reasonably well. Means I have like a proficiency at the games that I'm playing. I'm probably a reasonably heavy favorite with the average buy-in that I'm playing. I know that there's a way to actually quantify the Big Blinds 100 into how much money we should have made in 2021 based off of this EV-BB 100. But I'm dumb, so I'm not going to be able to do that for you. And also, this is not something that should be taken as gospel, because this doesn't take into account, you know, bubble ICM, final table bubble ICM, ICM changes at the final table. Doesn't take into account rake either. So, you know, maybe I'm actually 3 or 4. And if I am, that's not good. Because, like, that's still winning. That's still proficient at the game. But you're taking on insanely higher swings. So we need this to be higher. For those of you guys who don't know, I found this a long time ago, and I figured this is a good little kind of helper for people who don't know what makes a good win rate. This came off of Ben CB's Raise Your Edge on Discord. Zachuk, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub, my man. Welcome. Enjoy the fuck out of them sub emotes, baby. Much love to you. Very, very much appreciate it. So yeah, here's just like a general gauge. It obviously goes a lot deeper than this, and once again, you should never take, you know, looking at your win rate as a gospel or nor should you like just go, okay, I'm 5 big blinds, that's good enough. You know, you always want to be improving in a significant manner, right? So here you go. If you're 0 to -5, you're losing player. You should move down. 0 to 2, playing too high, late game and ICM mistakes, making you a losing player. 2 to 5, slightly winning player. ROI is still low and variance can be brutal. 5 to 7, good win rate. You should be one of the better regs in the games you're playing. Still take care of late game and ICM if your ROI is not as good as expected, which sounds exactly like where I'm at. 7 to 10, crush you at your stakes, place to be. 10 plus, probably playing too low, move up, you big fucking nit. Of course, like I've had months where I'm like, oh shit, I'm winning at like 10 big blinds per 100, but it's only like 25K games, right? Anything can happen. So the more volume you have, the better you're going to have an indicator of how good you are. 5 big blinds per 100 is the boundary of slightly winning to good win rate. Yeah, exactly. I mean, OMFG Luckbox would know because he's a former Spin and Go pro, and that's kind of like where they put a lot of emphasis on, is like understanding your win rate. So we're doing good. We're not doing good enough. I can give myself a little bit of a pat on the back, but I also need to probably like, you know, slap myself in the face and tell myself to get my shit together, because we should be like trying to aim for here, especially at, you know, a $40 average buy-in. So that's going to be a big goal for me, is trying to get myself as close to 10 big blinds per 100 at the average buy-in that I'm playing. I don't plan on moving up in stakes anytime soon. We're going to be very patient this year. All right, let me catch up with chat again. That is a good big blind 100. Bummer you didn't see a higher ROI. Yes. Yeah. You know, I experienced that deviation, you know. Hi, YouTube. I213, what's up, mate? BC rant incoming. I don't have a rant. I think, you know, I have this kind of the same opinion that everybody else has about BC. Mexico or Thailand, where are we going? If I had to pick between the two, I'd rather go to Thailand, but I don't think I want to go to either of them. You want to discuss upcoming changes in on-demand game selection? We're not going to go too deep into that, but yeah, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I love BC though. Me too, man. Me too. With poker, it's also a strange situation where that the more you need to win, the harder it seems. I don't think that's true. I don't think I agree with that statement. 5 is a decent winning reg, 15 to 20% ROI, I'd say. Yeah, love that. What's a good hand sample for hands for all-in BB 100? I mean, that's just like, the more hands, the better, right? You know, 100K gives you an idea, but it's not enough. 200K, you can kind of say the same thing, but, you know, perhaps still not enough. 500K is definitely like really nice. The more the better. Million hands, like the more the better. I need my bankroll to catch up with me when then according to this. Once again, do not take your win rate 100% seriously. You need to take it with a grain of salt. And once again, volume is important. So like if you're just like got 10 big blinds per 100, but you only have 50K hands, it's not a fair indicator of where you stand in the game. It gives you some ideas like, oh, I'm probably like doing okay at these stakes. But it just could also be like a variance thing. You have to be careful with big blind per 100. Plenty of ICM spots where you're not supposed to have a high BB 100. Yeah, exactly. Got to take it with a huge grain of salt in MTT poker, because it doesn't account for a lot of things like ICM, like rake, that kind of stuff. The only reason I'm sharing it with you guys is to just kind of like have a glimpse into the bigger picture of how I'm performing over the year, and trying to have a semi-decent understanding of like how much of it is variance and how much of it is my fault, right? And there's a reasonable chunk of it that's variance, and there's a reasonable chunk of it that's my fault, where I like need to get better. Right? Because a lot of people are going to come to the stream and their takeaway is going to be DramaticDegen sucks. There's also going to be a lot of people who are maybe like big DramaticDegen simps, and they're going to go, DramaticDegen is just running really bad, right? When in reality, from everything that we've looked at, from my Sharkscope to my win rate, all that kind of stuff, it's somewhere in the middle, right? The truth lies somewhere in between. Sorry, Quenju. Thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub, my man. Go the fuck out of them sub emotes. Welcome, DJs, my friend. Happy to have you. Much love to you. Thank you so much. This is all USD, right? Yeah. Massive difference NFTs. Yeah, massive difference NFTs. Are we looking at Sharkscope? We already did. We already did. 8,000 games. You got a pretty big sample size. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to think. Did I cover everything I wanted to cover with poker stuff? Yes, pretty much. So all in all, poker was really, really bad to me. I definitely hit some hardcore variance. At the same time, I got very complacent with my game because I saw myself with a reasonable win rate in soft fields. And I was playing too many high variance games, i.e. too many big field games, and perhaps taking shots at games that either I wasn't beating or I had too big of a portion of myself to be able to withstand the variance in a responsible way. That's probably like the long story short of everything. There's obviously some aspects of it that I missed out there in that statement, but look at Darwin's graph to see how insane variance can be. 8K games isn't even that much in the grand scheme, especially if they are a big field. Yeah, I mean, that's an extreme example. I don't know what Darwin's graph looks like, but I don't want to compare myself to him because he's like, you know, God tier, right? And I'm like mid-level. So wonder what's achievable big blind 100 at those highest stakes. As far as I know, not very high. As far as I know, like at the highest stakes of MTT poker, I think like I would be surprised if there's too many people at like 5 big blinds 100. I would assume like winners in those games are like at 3. I would assume. About 7, 8 max? I don't even think so. I don't think so. I really don't. Those games are like so tough. Those games are so tough. Okay, so next up, what was the next thing I wanted to cover? Oh yeah, okay. So I wanted to just kind of have a quick look at how my stream has gone this year. Okay. More importantly, I think I want to focus on the last quarter of 2021 because that's where I made the most amount of progress. So we're kind of reverting back to what we were talking about earlier in the stream when I was having that honest conversation with my friends, asking them like, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Like, why am I not on the level of you guys? Because all of those guys started around the same time that I started, but they grew exponentially compared to me, whereas I kind of like stayed the same. I even had a couple of years where I decreased in following and viewership. Like my stream was going in the opposite direction of everybody else's. So I had that honest conversation with them, and they're like, yeah, nothing you're doing is like all that attractive compared to before. Like, you were kind of exciting to watch at the beginning because you were like this newer guy who was like grinding up a roll. You had some interesting things to share, and you were like a fun hang. But then like nothing changed. And maybe you didn't kiss enough ass. I don't think there's really any ass kissing in Twitch poker. I don't know about that. But yeah, nothing had changed. You just keep grinding the same games, the same stakes. You're going through crazy swings. Like, it's not anything that anybody wants to attach themselves to. And so I came up with the help of them, of my friends. I came up with the idea of Road to WSOP 2022. So there's a lot of new guys in the chat. You guys that don't know what that is, trying to hit $50,000 profit by May 31st. And if I hit that, I'm going to use that 50K profit to go play the World Series of Poker for a month. And that has completely changed my channel. So let's see if what this Twitch statistics say here. It takes a little while to load sometimes. My numbers were not great. The long story short of it, my numbers were pretty bad for pretty long. So let's just take a quick glimpse at let's go with January to, let's say, to October. Go somewhere around there. So 70 average viewers, right? Which is, it's okay. It's okay. But I've been pretty much at 70 average viewers for like 2 or 3 years now. Before that, I was averaging closer to like 100 to 200 viewers. And that's really nice because that's really good forward progression. You can grow off of that. It's a lot harder to grow off of like that mid-stage 70 viewers because let's face it, we're all hype frogs, right? We're all about where the hype is. All of us. And I had no hype around me. So I lost a lot of those views. Especially in 2020 when I was just like not winning anything. I just fucking didn't win anything in 2020. I don't even know if I won a tournament in 2020, honestly. I might have. I don't remember. So we started this challenge and things have really, really looked up. Why don't I actually, let's just go last 90 days. That's easier. Let's go from the 31st to now. Pretty nice. Just for quick, I'm gonna use a different site just for the percentages, so you just have a little bit of better a better gauge of how things are going. Everything has increased dramatically. Like these are huge increases over a reasonable sample. 43% increase in average viewers, an 85% increase in hours watched. So like, not only am I having a higher average view count, more people are sticking around longer. That's what this statistic means. To almost double my hours watched over a 3-month time span is fucking unbelievable. Something that I had heard from Devin Nash was that, oh, sorry, I wasn't really showing you guys these, was that a good indicator of your growth as a streamer actually is your rate at which you're gaining new followers. In the greater scheme of things, followers don't matter. Like if you have 1 million followers, that doesn't mean you're going to have a super high view count. There are people out there with 300,000 followers, but like struggle to get past 1,000 average views. But as you're growing, gaining new followers does have an indicator of where you're expected to go. So like a 300% increase in followers gained is fucking massive. And these aren't bots either, you know, like this is really, really good. Views gained is whatever. Peak viewers is whatever. I think something also interesting to look at is the fact that like I didn't stream that much more than before, right? 30% increase, which it basically just means I streamed like an extra few days, because in the previous 90 days I took like 10 days off in August or something, the Grand W Coop off stream, which was dumb. I shouldn't have done that, but regardless, you know, a 30% increase to hit almost a 50% or to hit a 40% increase in viewership and then like almost double my average view count is just like, that's insane. So the quality of the content is getting better. So I just wanted to point that out. This isn't going to be as long-winded of a conversation as the poker conversation was, because that's definitely the more interesting aspect of this whole stream. But I just wanted to point that out to show that like our channel is growing at a rate that is making me very, very optimistic about the future of this channel and this community and my career as a poker streamer. So thank you very much, everybody. this is like a reflection of the content that I'm creating, but it's also a reflection of like you guys wanting to stick around and like wanting to support me. And obviously, you know, I know it's a bit of a meme to say this, but like, you know, this is, none of this is without you guys being so supportive. So I appreciate that, everybody. It's a easy spot for me to practice gratitude here when I look at these numbers. Buy-ins and cash counts go a long way for me as a viewer, especially bankroll, i.e. Matt Staples. Yeah, I probably won't do that. Honestly, I hate doing it. I've done it before, and it just like, it invites a lot of toxicity. I'm just not about it. Not every streamer has to be the same as the last. I think that's important to know. And I already share enough with you guys with my bankroll challenge, like where it's at. Which, by the way, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So I don't need to like take it to another level as well and like have you guys judge me for my buy-ins and cashes and like where that's coming from and, you know, all that stuff. It just becomes exhausting and repetitive. Matt wants to do it, and that's fine. I don't think he's wrong for doing it, but like just because Matt does it doesn't mean that I have to do it. Started this story called Road to WSOP. It's way easier for people to root for you and be engaged this way. Yeah, it's a catchy title for sure. Another indicator is how many LED lights you have on your wall. True. I should have more, huh? Where can big blinds per 100 be shown? I don't know. Look in the forums. It's in the filters there. I'm rooting for you, DD. I'm not in here often, but always in your corner. Appreciate that, I213. Since your challenge has helped your channel so much, any thoughts or ideas about future challenges or stuff you could do like this? Not really. I'm trying not to be too heavy on thoughts about that stuff just because I really, really want to focus on trying to beat this challenge right now. But I mean, there's always different challenges we can do. Like, let's say, you know, I've been thinking about moving, so I could be like, I need this much money to be able to put away to live in whatever city. I could do that, or I could do road to WSOP Europe, or I could do like, I want to hit $100,000 in a year or something. You know, like there's all kinds of different stuff that that we could do. But yeah, I haven't put much thought into it. Those are just ideas off the top of my head. Okay. What was the next thing I wanted to talk about that I said I was going to talk about? Somebody mentioned it in the chat. How many years have you been playing poker for? 5 years. How long did it take me to be a pro? I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask that kind of thing because I went broke and went back to poker like on many different occasions. But fuck, what was it that I was gonna bring up? Did I write it down? Oh, right. Okay, let's talk about the challenge. The Road to WSOP 2022. Let me just pull it up real quick. So I haven't updated you guys on how the challenge has gone over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Just kind of got lazy, to be honest. So we're gonna go over that real quick. This will help with my social media and stuff as well. For me, I like watching players on the same sites as I play, and I don't play ACR and see you on there a lot, but watching this tonight has been so informative, and I'll be watching a lot more. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think it's important not to concern yourself with that kind of a thing, because at the end of the day, poker is poker, and if the money's good, it shouldn't matter, right? But I understand, like, the aesthetics are nice and stuff, you know, like, I don't particularly like watching Ignition, even if the money's good, but, you know, maybe that's a flaw in my viewing that I need to also, you know, because, like, for instance, you know, like, Crazy Sixes plays a lot on Ignition. I really like him as a streamer. I think he should be a lot more popular than he is. He's like very charismatic. He's smart. He's obviously like knows how to play poker, and he doesn't get the view count he deserves. But he plays a lot on Ignition, and sometimes I don't watch because of the site he's playing on. So that's definitely a flaw in my viewing that I think is like not that rational. Belly Booze Mom, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate you. Welcome to DJs, my friend. Happy to have you. Phone 152. What? I know, right? Okay, so here are my expenses from um, December 20th to January 2nd. So basically since our last update. Groceries pretty decent. Subscriptions, I'm gonna work on making that lower. I have these like weird Amazon subscriptions. I don't know where the fuck that's coming from. I must have like accidentally clicked a button and now they're charging me like weekly. It's insane. So I gotta take care of that. Takeout, it's manageable. I'm not gonna beat myself up about that too much, but we could definitely do a lot better. Just I'm still ordering too much pizza, man. I'm ordering like once or twice a week, and it's just adding up. The phone bill, I think I spent too much time with my data. I just went like crazy with my data usage. So that's bad, and that won't happen again. As a matter of fact, I think I might even like lower my phone bill. I should be only paying like $45 a month, but Canadian mobile companies are total fucking scams. And like if you go over your data, they start charging you insane amounts of money. So that's where a lot of that come from. $200 in gifts. In the previous update, I had spent another like $200 to $300 in gifts as well. So you know that's not too bad. I realized at the last minute there were a few friends that I wanted to like buy for, and a couple more gifts for my mom and that kind of thing. So $30 bank fee, you know, whatever. $950 for rent and utilities. I have another utility fee that I paid today that will go towards this week's expenses. So the total came out to like I think $1,100. But let's just quickly go over this bad fucking month. Terrible month. Not terrible month, but terrible 2 or 3 weeks. We had a couple of very slightly winning sessions that I remember final tabling, and we definitely should have gone deeper in every single final table that we played. I made some pretty unacceptable ICM mistakes. Hard to notice in time, but I should be knowledgeable enough to not make those mistakes at this point in my career. So that's where I'm going to be really hard on myself about moving forward, is like I've got to start getting better at the ICM aspects of poker. It's just unacceptable at this point. So we should have more profit here than these little tiny ones. And then that way, these losing days that we had here wouldn't hurt so much. I did have my biggest losing day of the challenge so far, minus $900 this past Sunday. That was pretty brutal. That came from playing a few 109s that were like, you just can't miss, especially if I can sell action for them. And I played the 215 Winter Series $2 million guaranteed. So that was a big portion of that loss. But still, that was a pretty brutal day that really messed us up. So the totals so far on the challenge is, with the $3,000 I got paid from ACR for December, by the way, I reached the max there, $4,100. So we're like stagnating super hard. I think we finished November plus 4,100, or maybe even plus more. I'm not sure. I can't remember. So very stagnating December. But that's going to happen, right? With these challenges, when you're playing MTTs, we're not playing cash, right? You're going to have some pretty hardcore swings. That's just the nature of the beast. We could end up making all the losses back and then some this month, or maybe over the next 2 months, and then have another shitty month. Like you never really know. What's important is that we just try and stay on top of things and keep ourselves level-headed. So that's the challenge so far, going into week 10 on the road to WSOP 2022. Okay, let's catch up with the chat here. Mango Fandango with the 11-month resub. Welcome back, man. Happy to have you, dude. Thank you so much. What's up, broski? Look at this crowd. What's up, Lean Guys? What's your old housemate Bolero up to? He just up and left poker. Yeah. No unlimited data in 2022. Is that even the thing? Does that even exist? As far as I know, it doesn't. 2022 Thailand. Get unlimited for $80 in Ontario? No shit, huh? Okay, I'll look into that. Getting unlimited data for my phone for like 15 to 20 pound a month. Yeah, but that's in the UK, my dude. Canada straight up has a fucking scam for a phone industry. It's owned by, 3 major monopolies, and they do everything that they can to squeeze every last dollar out of their consumer in Canada. It's brutal. Is that $950 rent per month in Canadian? Yes. So this is all in Canadian, and then out of the totals, I calculated it to USD. Makes me fucking cry, bro. Rent in Western Canada is not cheap, especially if you're gonna live on the coast. Average rent in downtown Vancouver is $2,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. I was looking that up earlier today. It's nasty. It's legit industry standard, your phone bill getting ripped off. Yep. Cost of living in UK is insanely cheap compared to a lot of places, I swear. Is it though? Isn't your pound though like super high? Looking at $150 a month for data and bank fees, cringing. Yeah, I rarely, like, I'm always paying $40 a month for my phone bill. I just went crazy on my data overages. And on Oz, we have unlimited data and calls. I know. I lived in New Zealand for 2 years. I never paid more than $25 a month for data, and I still had like 10 gigabytes of data. I'm aware. Canada has really shitty phone plans. Unlimited everything for $75 from Rogers. Yeah, I'll never go with Rogers though. $950 for rent in a studio. No, this is a 2-bedroom home in a really nice neighborhood. And my share of the rent is $950. It's pretty standard here in the West Coast. It's super standard. Anybody here who lives in Vancouver, the West Coast, can agree that $950 for me for rent is actually like kind of nice. Any BCers in the chat can back me up on this one? I pay $1,800 for downtown Vancouver. Yeah, that's on the low end. You're lucky. Not having unlimited data in 2022. Yeah, I guess so. Switch up your data. It's all wireless providers have them. Telus, Bell, Rogers. Okay, I'll look into it. I have like 5 gigs of data. I think I just went like crazy over it, and they started charging me out the wazoo for it. I pay 1,700 Canadian in rent. Yeah. No up to you. Luckbox lives in Vancouver. Paying 2K in Richmond. There you go. Come to Edmonton, 6 casinos. Rent is cheap. Lots of opportunity. I think the last place in Canada that I'm willing to live in is Alberta. I'm sorry. That was really mean. What I mean to say is I'd rather live in none of it. I mean, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Nah, man. If I'm going to live anywhere in Canada, it's going to be the East Coast. Or sorry, the West Coast or Montreal or Toronto. I'm not too interested in really living elsewhere. As far as Canada goes, anyway. Living in Kelowna, BC, and rent is pretty high, but even worse in Vancouver area. Yep, exactly. I'm on Vancouver Island, and 1-bedroom places here go from 1,000 to 1,300. Yeah, it depends on where you live. Yeah. Some towns on the island, for sure. We paid $1,500 for 2-bedroom, but it was outside VC in a shitbox. Yeah, I paid $1,900 for a 30th floor 1-bedroom apartment in New Westminster, and that's like a 45-minute drive from downtown Vancouver. I live in Abbotsford in 2-bedroom in a crap apartment is $1,600. Yep. Opportunity in Edmonton for what? Boredom, maybe. Edmonton's not that bad. I have some friends in Edmonton that love it there, but yeah, I'm just not interested in Alberta. It's just like not my vibe. You ever see yourself married with kids? Yeah. Yeah, if the right woman came along, absolutely. $1,700 will get you a 1-bedroom where I live. Yeah, that's almost impossible in Vancouver. You'll be lucky to find it. I remember when I was looking for apartments before I moved to Vancouver in 2020. I found a place. I saw $1,500 a month, and I was like, yes, $1,500 a month. And I looked at it, and it was a studio apartment. It had no bathroom. It was a communal bathroom. It had one sink, and it was about not that much bigger than this bedroom. And it was off of East Hastings and Main Street. Those of you guys who aren't familiar with Vancouver, East Hastings and Main Street is probably one of the most brutal streets in the entire city. It's one of the most densely populated neighborhoods in the country of homeless people. And that was being charged $1,500 a month. Not to be like hating on homeless people, but it's just like a really dangerous neighborhood. Like it is, you do not walk down that street after dark. You just don't do it. I'm in New Brunswick, pretty reasonable rent here. I would like to visit the East Coast. I don't think I'd like to live there. I'm not too interested in living there. I know it is affordable to live there, and it is like a beautiful part of the country, but E-Town is the shit. Play live and online, and rent is cheap. Yeah, I'm not honestly, like, I'm not interested in really living anywhere that has snow. I'm not gonna lie, unless it's like Whistler, you know. But like, who can afford to live in Whistler? Ontario, Toronto is just as bad for rent, if not worse, and $150 for sale is fairly normal too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. Don't answer that. Do you know who the samurai carpenter is? I want to live in his cabin. I do not know who that is. Just look up from Telus. Brand new iPhone 13 plus 40 gigs of month high speed plus unlimited data equals $80 a month. Oh. Rent is pretty cheap for most people on Hastings, though. Free needles, too. Jesus. That was rude. But also true. But rude. Look up places in Mexico. We have a beach rent resort style condo that is only $1,600. So I'm my ideology on living in Mexico is a little bit pig-headed, to be quite honest with you. It just irks me the wrong way, the way that like we as foreigners treat Mexico, where like we're like, oh, it's so cheap there and like so nice to live there, when really it's just like it's all expats like living in like similar gated communities with like very little contact with the actual country, because the country in itself is like dangerous as fuck. And we just like use all of their resources to protect ourselves and save money and like live in a paradise, when in reality that's like super far from the truth. I realize it's, you know, you can poke holes in that argument, but that's kind of the way I feel. Like I'm not a big fan of like resort culture. I think it's like really wasteful. I know that it's really relaxing and it's a great way to have like really fun experiences with people you care about, and to also just party and let loose, but like I don't know. I just find it a very like wasteful aspect of living your life. Not living your life, but like wasteful from the perspective of like wasting a lot of shit. I don't know. So that's why like I don't really like the idea of living in Mexico. Have you experienced any problems renting an apartment as a poker player? No, I've been pretty lucky in that regard. Like I remember when I got an apartment in Vancouver, I told the guy who was showing me around, and he's like, "Oh man, I like one of my closest friends quit his job to play poker full time." And in my mind I was like, "Fuck yes, thank God." And he did want to see like a proof of employment. And I was like, I don't have one because I'm a poker player. And I was like, but I'm willing to just like put like 6 months down if you want me to. And I think just like saying that was like, oh no, that's good enough. We'll just give it to you. Never stand. I would never move to BC because it stands for bring cash. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. What other countries are you thinking of moving to? I'm considering New Zealand because I have a passport there, and it actually is like more affordable. It's still got expensive rent, but you know, when you translate it into New Zealand dollar, it's like pretty cheap. It's like 1,700 New Zealand a month rent, which is like, I want to say 1,200 American, so cheaper than Vancouver. Um, I've considered the idea of London just for the experience. I know it's not cheaper, it's super expensive, but like going for 3 to 6 months just for the experience of being in another country I've never been to, and then using that as like a headquarters for kind of Euro tripping a little bit. Similar to Thailand, but their economy runs on expats. Yeah, I feel the kind of the same way about Thailand. Mexico City is dope. I would like to visit Mexico City, but yeah, I don't know if I'd be comfortable with living there. You want a best, if you want a safe and cheap, best bet is Eastern Europe. I'm not like super interested in Eastern Europe. You only live once, bro. You gotta get out and explore. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I gotta get out a little bit more. A spin friend wanted me to move to Thailand with him. Yeah, you know, I'm considering that too. I'm considering Thailand, but it's kind of the same vibe with Thailand that I have with Mexico. Is, you know, kind of like taking advantage of their resources, and I don't know. But you know, as far as like grinding up myself into a successful spot while experiencing a new city, like it's probably decent because it's so cheap there, right? But yeah, it's a little weird for me. I could do it short term, you know, like do it like a 3 to 6 month kind of situation. I feel you, but we don't really party in Mexico, just there so we can grind stars. I love Mexico and feel we are at least adding money to a country that really needs help. Yeah, I don't know. Like, are you though? That's the thing, right? Like, a lot of expats who like live in Mexico are living in like very Americanized communities, right? It just doesn't feel to me like it's there is much like contribution to the like actual um I don't know, Mexican, I don't know if even economy is the right word, or culture. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. Did you respond to my comment about vloggers buying the room in Austin? I did not say. Let's see. You see that Neem and Owen bought that room in Austin? So sick. That's my main room. I briefly saw it. I don't know what that entailed. Like they're major shareholders in it, or what's going on there? That's crazy. They're gonna make so much money off that. I like the UK idea. I've always wanted to go to London. I know that it's like way more expensive than pretty much like anywhere else that I could live. Um, but just for the experience of it, because I've always wanted to go. Kind of have a romantic idea of it in my head. Go for like 12 to 24 weeks. Who wants to move to Romania with me? Romania cool? I could do with Romania. Rent in Portugal is like 300 euros a month. Yeah, but in Portugal you can't play poker. You can only play .es. I don't want to play .es. I'm kind of hungry. I'm gonna eat this cookie. Yeah, I mean, like if poker was available in Portugal with the rest of the world, I would definitely consider Portugal because Portugal is beautiful. I would also consider Spain and France too. But you can't play with the rest of the world. I spent 3 weeks in Thailand. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, the culture can be off-putting. Yeah, I just have a I just it's just weird because like I also you hear so many stories about people, you know, tourists going to Thailand and like treating the locals like shit, and then the locals have a really, really bad, you know, viewpoint of tourists and stuff. And it's like, yeah, fair enough, dude. People shit on you guys like you're lesser thans, you know? It's just not cool. And like I don't like contributing to that. I don't know. It's not a strong theory I have in my head because I haven't put a lot of thought into it, but that's my initial reaction. If you're a poker player and a streamer, taking advantage of the lower cost of living is a smart thing to do if you don't have family tying you down. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable argument. Like, there's kind of like a conservative viewpoint you almost have to take to be a successful poker player, and I'm not a conservative person. I'm definitely a lot more of like a leftist thinker. So I'm definitely like at odds with myself. Imagine thinking you're helping Mexicans when spending money partying in an American hotspot. Yeah, that's kind of my point. They're big shareholders now, and it's a fucking 60 table room and the most successful in Austin. They're gonna crush it. Wow. Did I see that Doug Polk is in it on it too, or was he just making a joke? The economy is what we contribute to taxes, local businesses, restaurants. I probably keep the donut shop near my place open single-handedly, but I understand what you mean, that it feels like taking advantage. Yeah. Also Malta if you want the sunny weather, but it's slightly more expensive. I could be open to Malta. Pretty women in Romania? There's pretty women everywhere. People always say that, and I'm like, gorgeous women are available everywhere. My theory is women are way more attractive than men, and that's not because I'm just like a straight guy. Women make an effort to make themselves more attractive, and men are fat, gross, disgusting slobs most of the time, myself included. You should come to Canada and play live cash. I'm Canadian. I live on Vancouver Island. Become a homeowner as a poker player. If you want a bank loan, is it possible? Have you considered over renting? I don't have the kind of capital to own a home. And honestly, considering where the economy is, I don't. I think I'm going to be part of the millennial statistic that, you know, probably won't own a home in their lifetime. I think there's better investments to make. Estonia has no taxes for poker. Oh, that's cool. Estonia I've never considered. That'd be cool. I understand your trepidation about being an outsider and not participating in culture. Would feel the same. Yeah. It's weird because like I don't feel that way about more developed countries. Just have them being more stable. I feel like there's less advantage being taken of. I've traveled to Thailand, been from the West. You get harassed non-stop. Yeah. Doug has the biggest share. He lives here. Wow. Crazy. Go play live cash and become a millionaire. There's no good live cash in Vancouver. The only good live cash is Montreal and Alberta. And in Montreal, I think the rake is pretty ridiculous. You don't have to party and go wild when you're in Mexico. It's sad that some of the areas are solely for that purpose. No, I wouldn't, but like, it's not fully my point either, you know? The Caribbean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, kind of feels like I'm taking advantage of a system that doesn't deserve to be taken advantage of. Women take an hour to get ready. Men are just ready. That says it all. Yep. There you go. Estonia is pretty good for poker. It can speak from 27 years of experience. Wow. I know Patrick Leonard lived in Budapest for a bit. It sure is a nice place, but I don't know what it's like to live there. Yeah, Budapest would be pretty cool. I won't lie, London really is at the top of my list as far as like where I would live in Europe. I know that it's also like the most expensive, but just from like an experience standpoint, I think it would be really, really cool to say that I lived there, even just for a short period of time. Cascades Casino, good 1-2-2-5. Yeah. I honestly, if I can't afford to play 2-5, I will probably never play 1-2 ever again. Unless I'm just like drinking with the homies and like we just want to like punt off some money. You know what I mean? Because I've realized now that like the rake in low stakes cash is just makes grinding 1-2 unenjoyable. London is worse than New York, yeah. But once again, like I would if New York had poker for like the rest of the world, I would probably go to New York as well, just for the experience. Like as far as like living somewhere to save money, if I'm gonna pick somewhere, it's probably gonna be New Zealand, because I can live there as long as I want, and I have family there, and it is more affordable. I don't particularly care about like shacking up in a third world country. Head up Spraggy for her room. Oh, that's right. Does he even live in London? I don't think he does, right? There's a bunch of good live home games in Vancouver, legit 1025, 510, etc. Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. Spraggy lives in Gloucester. I don't even know where that is. Tell me. Okay. It's kind of crazy that I caught up with chat. Let us go on to like a next kind of mini stage of what I wanted to talk about. Ooh, some of this shit I don't want to share though. How am I gonna do this? I just kind of wanted to like go over some brief goals and just kind of share them for fun. I don't know how much I'm going to attach these to my own stream's narrative, but you know, I spent the day on Saturday just kind of like making some resolutions. I'm not a big resolution guy. I think if you're like making New Year's resolutions, it implies you don't really goal set for like you don't goal set throughout the year, and you're probably not going to achieve those resolutions. But I also figured they're pretty harmless. Like it's better than not doing them at all, right? So I just started like writing some stuff down. I watched a couple YouTube videos and I was like, okay, I got some ideas, things that I want to do. So I think this is actually going to be beneficial to my challenge as well moving forward. So we've got 5 months left in the challenge and I've only made 4 Gs. We're really going to have to start like amping things up a little bit here with my performance and my mentality and my health. Music Poker Dealer can say rake is big in live cash, just sad taking all the money off the table while people sit with a $200 stack. Yeah, it's just like at best, if you're like one of the best players in the 1-2 field, like you're making $30 an hour, right? Why is it so important to play with the whole world and not just like .es? Well, for one, stars.es has pretty insane rake, and for another, just hard to make a lot of money. It's hard to make a lot of money. Okay, so I split my goals for 2020 into different sections. So physical, financial, mental, brand, poker, and other. I'll do like a real brief one for physical, because I actually think physical is like a really, really underrated aspect of being a professional poker player. Being out of shape isn't going to make or break you. There's plenty of like severely overweight professional poker players that are amongst the best in the world. But I would assume that they would all willingly tell you that it's probably a big leak in their careers. Because let's face it, like being healthy helps with your focus. It helps with your energy levels. It helps with your confidence. Like all of those things play a role in how well you perform, you know? So currently I weigh like 284. It's not the heaviest I've ever weighed, so that's good. but it's pretty fucking close. And I shouldn't be anywhere near this. So the goal is to try and lose 60 pounds this year. So I've got two different goals. Realistic goal is in blue, and then moon goal. So you know, like the saying, you know, shoot for the moon and you reach the stars, or shoot for the stars and you reach the top of the mountain, that kind of a thing. That's kind of what I want to do. So like weigh 190, which would imply that I lost 90 pounds basically. That's the moon goal if things go really, really well. But I think it's realistic for me to be able to lose 60 pounds in a year. That's what, 5 pounds a month. That's super achievable. So what's that in kilos? I think it's like 120 kilos. Did I weigh 120 kilos? 128 kilos. There you go. You look really good for 128 kilos. That is because I wear layers. I have a beard and I have a good camera angle. All right. Here, let me just, I won't take my shirt off or nothing, but let's just. Oh, yeah, baby. You like that? You like it? Yeah, you do. You like that, don't you? I know you do. How tall are you? I'm 6'3". I don't know what that is in centimeters, but yeah, I'm 6'3". I might be 6'2". I'm seeing a lot of like TikTok posts of guys saying that they're like 6'2", but they're actually 6 feet or whatever. So I'm gonna undersize how much I am. I think I'm 6'2". Really good angle, yeah, for sure. That's how a poker streamer can get donations. Showing my belly. 190 centimeters. There you go. So the goal is to lose 60 pounds this year. I'm going to work out 3 to 5 times a week. I think that's super, super realistic. Last summer, I was working out 5 days a week for about 3 months, and I lost about 25 pounds, which was pretty awesome. And the reason why I stopped was because I was working out in the backyard, and then the weather got cold. But I stopped because I'm a pussy. So I got really, really lazy and gained on some of that back. I think I weighed like 270 by the end of the summer. I gained some of that weight back by not working out and eating junk food. I'm going to try and keep my calories below 2,500, which I think is like super, super manageable, especially if I continue to work towards eating less takeout. I got this awesome book from my mom for Christmas that I'm really looking forward to getting into. Jamie Oliver cookbook. Dude, look, some of these, I'm just going to like pick a random page and like show you the photo. Jeez, I keep hitting like the chapter ones. Look at this. Look how good that looks. And all of them just have 7 ingredients. That's it. The recipe books are just 1 page. And they have all the nutritional info at the bottom. So I'm going to do a lot of cooking over the next little while. As well as some meal prepping to make my life easy too. Because I'm not always going to want to do this shit, right? So that's going to be like a new skill that I'm going to try and learn this year. Is how to be a good cook. My roommate's a really good cook. He's got a lot of... he's got a history in the restaurant industry, so he's gonna help me out with that as well. He's been bugging me about it all year, and I've been super fucking lazy about it. I just don't care. I think in my old age, I'm caring less about stuff. So I'm gonna work on that. Once you lose that weight, you'd slay just by walking down the street. Good that you've seen yourself lose that weight, though. Hardest step is always just taking the first step and doing it. Yeah. Thanks, man. I'd like to slay one day for sure. Good luck, dude. Hectic. Thanks, buddy. Gotta make David Goggins your alarm and don't take days off. True. I've read that book. I probably need to read it again. You know, Kintanen in particular, one of our mods who's not here today, has been specifically bugging me about taking up a martial art because I'm such a passionate martial arts fan. I love the UFC. I love mixed martial arts. And I've always wanted to have a deeper understanding of the technical sides of the sport because I think it's a really underappreciated sport by the mainstream, just how much work and intelligence goes into being a elite level mixed martial artist. Everything that they do overall is with intent, and I feel like compared to your average fan who doesn't practice martial arts, I probably have an above average understanding of how it's approached because of the amount of content that I watch and the amount of discussions that I have with people like Kintanen. But nothing beats personal experience. So I am definitely 100% going to take a class this year, either in Muay Thai kickboxing or in BJJ. I'm not sure which one yet, but I am going to get into a class this month. BC is kind of closed down in a weird way, so I'm probably gonna have to wait for that to ease up a little bit. But yeah, I want to take 48 classes a month and do that this year. So that's going to be a good way for me to lose some weight. That's a big goal for me. My biggest advice for motivation for enjoying cooking is mise en place. You just prep everything, put them in their own containers beforehand. It makes the entire thing so enjoyable. It's a good call. I like that. BJJ, martial arts is so life-changing. Yeah. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do first, but I might be kickboxing because I know my brother takes kickboxing. So just to kind of have like a familiar face would be nice. And because I have not very good social anxiety. So I'll probably do that. This is a goal I think I would like to achieve. So when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I was really active. I played hockey twice a week. I refereed hockey 6 times a week. I took as many physical education type classes as I could every day. And then I did like extracurricular stuff with friends. I played basketball and soccer. I didn't do any of it competitively, but I just liked being active. I really enjoyed sports. And then when I became an adult, all of those things started to cost money that my parents weren't paying for. I stopped doing them all. So I got really out of shape. And when I was a teenager, I knew I wasn't best out of really any of my peers. So I always thought that I was out of shape, but I realize now, like, I was able to run 5K in like 25 minutes. That's pretty fucking good. Now I'd be lucky to walk 5K in like 75 minutes. I don't know. I'm probably being too hard on myself, but like, I'm super out of shape. I'm in the worst shape I've been in my entire life. So I want to see if I can run 5K in under 30 by the end of the year, which I think is a really realistic goal. I don't think that's like too out of left field. That's going to be a good one for me. I think that will help with my fitness. Not to mention that I have some like minor heart issues that like if I don't start taking care of now, it will probably fester into something worse as I get older. So I think having some like good cardiovascular type of workouts is probably going to be a good call for me. The confidence boost in everything you do and the ability of freeing your mind is incredible. I'm sure. You could choke and slam people on the ground, grappling, or what is the term? Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But yeah, grappling, yeah. I'm not really interested in getting into martial arts so that I can like look at guys and size them up and be like, yeah, I could beat the shit out of that guy. I'm doing it because I love the sport and I just want to have a better understanding of it. And I think it would be a great way to get in shape. And I decided I just wanted to like put a little note on like what would be like a deeper meaning for me to get in shape outside of like the health aspects of it. And I know that when I was working out in the summer, a big thing that I noticed, like after the first week, just a week of working out, that my sleep quality was better, my focus was better, and my energy levels were higher. These days, I've noticed that like I want to go to sleep all the time, no matter how much sleep I get the night before. I want to take a nap halfway through the day. I did not feel that way in the summertime when I was working out. So I think that's like just something to remember. To give me a little bit of a reminder in case I'm looking for like a little extra kick. To help with my discipline. A lot of this stuff I'm gonna like write down on a whiteboard or something, and I'm gonna like hang it up on the wall somewhere in my room, so I'm just looking at it every day. When you were in the stream house, you were so skinny. No, when I was in the stream house, I was fat too. When I was in the stream house, I was like 250, I think. The skinniest you guys would have ever seen me was when I started streaming when I was like 25. I was about 225, and back then I thought I was fat. So. Okay. To be fair, anyone who gets into specifically beating people up never lasts. They usually don't have the mental capability to succeed. Yeah. No, I'm not. I hope to never get into a fight in my entire life. I'm doing it because I love the sport, for the love of the game. It doesn't hurt that you can do it. They're saying better be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war. Ooh, that's a nice saying. I like that saying. I'll tell you firsthand, you stick to the fitness goals, it's literally life-changing. Yeah, I don't doubt you on that at all. Okay. Next spot, it's called mental and spiritual. There's not, I don't know. I'm not very in touch with my spiritual side, to be honest with you. So I don't really, I don't really know if I'd call this spiritual, but I was just following like a YouTube video. So I'm just gonna kind of go along with that. I'm going to meditate 10 minutes a day, every day from here on out for the rest of the month, for the rest of the year. Sorry. That's what I want to do. Perhaps that's a bit of a moon goal. Maybe it's more realistic to say 5 days a week because that's a hard habit to do. But I look at like, I follow Ebony Kenny on Instagram, who, I think most of you guys know who Ebony Kenny is. She's meditated like 600 days in a row. And when I hear that, I think like, okay, well, for one, she's obviously very well disciplined. So good for her. But two, like 600 days in a row. Okay. Maybe I could do it too. Like maybe I could kind of follow along in her footsteps. So I'm going to do 10 minutes a day from here on out for the rest of the year. So it's not quite, 365, but it's pretty damn close. When I have regularly meditated in the past, day to day, I have noticed a significant, improvement in my overall mental well-being, particularly in my mood. I'm able to handle bad situations a lot more reasonably, whether that's through poker or through my, personal life. It actually has played a role compared to days that I don't. So I think that's a skill that probably everybody in poker should consider employing in their day-to-day life. I'm definitely going to be that. Read 24 books. Last year, I decided I want to get back into reading. I was really into it as a kid. I think it's good to have some kind of a hobby that doesn't involve much multitasking and can also be developmental. And I feel like books is a great way of doing it because it's inexpensive, doesn't take a ton of effort, and you can learn a lot, both from fiction and nonfiction. So I started buying books, but I was not very good at reading them. I got excited at the idea of reading them, and then I put them up on my bookshelf. I left them alone. So I'm going to try and read 2 books a month. I'd actually want to try and read 3 books a month, but I'm going to be a little more realistic. I think 2 books a month is pretty reasonable. I have looks like I have about 15 books here. And I think out of the 15 I've read from front to back, looks like 2 of them. And then like another 3 or 4 I've read portions of them, and that's just, they're good books, man. They're good books. So I'm going to alternate between, it's way too many things to try and implement all at once. You should pick 2 or 3 initially, and once they become habits, add a few more. Yeah, I mean, so I've already been implementing these throughout challenge, so it's not like these are all brand new. I know it does seem like a lot. Like these ones, these ones are not going to be priority at all, by the way. I probably should have been a little bit more clear about that. These aren't going to be priority at all. This is going to be priority. This is going to be priority. This is going to be a priority. I probably should have like color coded these as like levels of importance, like beat 12 video games. What the fuck does that mean? The reason why I added this was because for me personally, like I take a lot of inspiration from consuming like rich pieces of visual arts, like media. So like movies played a huge role in my development as a child into like being the person that I want to be. Like you can actually get a lot of inspiration and learn a lot about life if you consume the right things. And like video games are reaching like a level of storytelling that I actually think like you can get some kind of inspiration from them. At the very least, they're a great form of escapism, which we all need to be able to like decompress and restart. So like, but that being said, if I don't beat 12 video games this year, like who gives a fuck? They're video games, okay? The books I think are going to be really important for me because I've noticed from like a meditative standpoint, the books have helped me immensely when I do get into the routine of reading. Like in the summertime, I'd work out, meditate, and read, and like every time I did that consecutively, like my life changed day to day. So you know what, just for simplicity's sake, let's go ahead and just get rid of these. I'm going to keep them in my own list, but just so that you guys aren't like, dude, these are too many goals. These are what I want to work on. These are like the most important goals for me. And then just don't overload yourself and don't get down if you fall short on some progress over perfection. The only dude you're trying to beat is yesterday's self. No. I think these are all super manageable, right? Super manageable, right? 5K I can do in the gym. And then if I start taking kickboxing BJJ, I just go to the gym a little bit less. Easy. Count my calories. Meditate takes me 10 minutes out of my day. Very little effort. And then reading books is literally like, if I read 10 to 15 pages in the morning before I start my day, it's nothing. It's just part of my morning routine, right? Gotta forgive yourself for gaining weight in a global pandemic, having a sedentary job, for sure. I'm a little embarrassed. Okay, we're gonna skip some other goals that I'm just gonna keep to myself. I think the really important one that you guys probably are all wanting to see is this one. Poker. So I actually want to play less hands this year, so that I can focus on these other things that are really important. So ease off the pressure with the volume, because honestly, like 500,000, 400K hands, that's enough if you're playing well, right? I want to get up to 8 BB 100. So what is that, like a 1.6x what I'm at right now with my win rate? 12 coaching sessions, so that's just one coaching session a month. Pretty manageable. 12 mental coaching sessions, same thing. Mental coaching for me has made a pretty big difference when I've done it, but I've only done it once in the last year. So I want that to be a regular part of my monthly routine. I have an idea for a goal, go on 4 dates. Yeah, it's a goal of mine to definitely get out there and start dating again, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, like I have a couple of different personal goals that I don't really want to share on stream. But and then this is like, I'm not going to be super hard on myself for this one, but I just need to be more consistent with my studying. I'm not going to study every single day. Maybe there'll be a couple of days where I do 3-hour studies. Maybe there's a day where I do an 8-hour study session. But I'm basically, like, the reason why I put this here was to just start to maintain a certain level of consistency. Because I'm not consistent in my studies. And if I like minimize the effort it takes to study, the more often I'm going to study. So if I just go, okay, like, all right, I'm just going to do an hour today, or I'm just going to do half an hour in the morning and half an hour at night, I am going to see progress in the amount of studying I'm doing, the level of studying that I'm doing, and then of course my progress as a poker player. So I'm going to start tracking my study sessions each week. And once again, like a lot of these goals I've already been working on. I'm just kind of like tying it in with my resolutions because it's that time of the year. So yeah. Adding some cheat days too. 2,500 a day can be gloomy if you're averaging a lot more than every 2 weeks. Have a fun day to stay on course. It's enough advice. Love your channel. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, of course. I mean, look, I'm fully aware that I'm not like, these aren't goals that I'm going to be 100% on, right? Like you make these goals hoping that maybe you can, like if you can hit 60% of these goals, you've had a really good year, right? You know, one thing that I've realized too is like back in July, right? Or maybe it was June. Was it June? June. I said to my community, okay, I'm going to start working out 5 days a week. And I hadn't worked out in a really long time. And everybody was like, you're going to overwhelm yourself. It's too much. You should definitely not do that. You need to downsize. And I was like, I can do it. I just got to remember to show some level of consistency. I did 5 days a week for like 4 months. I think I literally 3 months. Out of those like 3 months, I had like 2 weeks, I think, or maybe 3 weeks where I skipped a day. And the reason why I stopped, I would have kept going, is the weather got super shitty, and that just like demotivated me. It got like really cold, which is stupid, I know, but I was consistent over a 12-week period. That's a pretty good chunk of time. I think I can be consistent with majority of these goals. It's not that much if you organize them into like reasonable daily routines. Like if I work out, meditate, read, do some studying every morning, that's like 2 hours, 3 hours max out of my day before I get started in this and I go on the grind. So I just want to share these with you guys. I think these are really, really easy, manageable goals. The biggest goal that would be sick as fuck to achieve is hitting 190 pounds by the end of the year. We'll see if that happens. I've been 190 pounds since I was like 18. So, you know, we'll see if that happens. That's what I got going on. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I think that's it. Anybody have anything? And maybe anything that I haven't covered that maybe I should? I think we kind of covered everything pretty nicely. Pretty nicely. So yeah, I guess, you know, in conclusion, I only made $2,500 in poker last year. There's a huge portion of that that's variance, where I played a lot of high stakes games that I made no money in, but it only accounted for a small fraction of my volume, but a huge fraction of my losses. My win rate is good to the point that I'm definitely beating the games that I'm playing, but it should be significantly better considering the skill level of the games that I'm playing. So that's going to be a huge thing for me to work on this year. I'm probably not going to move up in stakes anytime soon. I'm going to work on my development significantly. Probably lower my game selection as far as not playing as many big fields. And I'm going to amp up my studying while actually lowering my volume, because I probably played an unnecessary amount of volume last year when I should have been focusing on my growth. And I also want to be able to enjoy my life a little bit more, because I did not have a lot of fun last year, and that's definitely my fault. And I think, honestly, like, if you enjoy the fruits of your labor, it will play a role in maintaining a healthy lifestyle with the progression of you as a poker player. You just got to make sure you find the balance. So obviously I'm still going to work more than I'm going to play, but I think I need to play a little bit more than I did last year. Big focus outside of poker for me next year, that's still going to help with my poker game, is losing weight and getting healthy, and exploring some of the other passions that I have in life at a very minor level, i.e., reading books and playing some music and learning a martial art. And just having something outside of poker that I can appreciate and can help me decompress from the day-to-day grind that I put myself in, I think once again will have a huge positive difference on my progression as a poker player, because poker can get kind of frustrating and kind of sad and depressing if you don't have other outlets. And you can see it by just going on poker Twitter. All of these really successful poker players who are revered in the community, but are very clearly, very obviously miserable. They'll never admit it, but you can just look through their Twitter page and you can see they're projecting their misery because they don't have anything else outside of poker, besides drinking, which is just not healthy, right? So I don't want to be one of those guys. So this is going to be a year of growth for me. Just like progressiveness, I think, is probably the theme. Like a year of progressiveness. And hopefully all of these things combined will help with this road to WSOP 2022 challenge. We need to start picking things up and play better poker over the next 5 months, so that I can win this challenge, which I know I can. It's just going to take a couple of really, really good days and me being prepared when those good days come. We are going to be going to Vegas in May. Mark my words, it's happening. That dream is coming true. Thanks for sharing, DD, and good luck with all of your goals. Hoping the best, dude, and keep going. Thank you very, very much. Any streaming goals? Yeah, I want to double to triple my average viewership. I want to double my YouTube subscribers, and I want to double my Twitter and Instagram following. And all that takes for me is continuing with this quality of content that we're making and having a lot more discipline and consistency in how I post on social media, because that actually brings in a lot of new viewers. And recommendations on cool storyline games for PS5, PS4. Sorry for the off topic. God of War. If you haven't played God of War 4, and Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is probably one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. Go on walks. They're both calming and a workout. True. What's your ABI? 40. $40 ABI. All right, guys. Good talk. Hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I'm going to take Tuesday and Wednesday off. Tomorrow, I'm going to be pretty relaxed. I'm just going to do, like I said, my daily routines that I have to do, the studying, the working out, the meditating. And I'm going to spend the rest of the day getting this video ready to post on YouTube. So I should have it posted tomorrow afternoon. And then I'm probably going to watch a movie and play some video games and relax, because I've been working a lot the last few days. So pretty exhausted. Poker stream tomorrow? No, I'll be back Thursday. Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific. Wednesday is going to be a big study day for me. And then back for the grind Thursday. Good stuff, DD. I see a bunch of similarities between us and look forward to seeing where your path leads. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Have a good night, everybody. Appreciate you all. It was a lot of fun. And I'll see you guys Thursday, all right? And follow me on YouTube if you want to rewatch this video. All right. Cheers.